Okay guys, here we are studying for the Regents exam. We're going to go over the August 13th, 2019 exam as a review. So let's get started on it. So question 1 says, Brian's hockey team is purchasing jerseys. The company charges $250 for a one-time setup fee and $23 for each printed jersey. Which expression represents the total cost of X number of jerseys for the team? So this is something we covered. This is going to be our constant. One-time fees or setup fees is our constant within a linear equation. And then for each jersey, that's basically our slope. So when we set up the expression, it's going to be 23x, okay, because it's for each jersey. So if you buy 2 jerseys, it'll be 46. Plus your one-time setup fee. So that is going to be choice 3. Next one. Which table represents a function? Remember, functions are 1 to 1, so you don't want to see any repeats in the x column. So if you look at the x's here, the only one that shows that is choice 4. No repeats. You got negative 2, 0, 2, 4. The other ones do show. Here we got 2 negative 3s. Okay, here we got 2 number 2s. Over here, that's just repeating going down, so that's definitely not a function. Moving on, number 3. Which expression is equivalent to 2 times x squared minus 1 plus 3x times x minus 4? So in order to combine these, you got to start off by distributing. So we're going to distribute. And we get 2x squared minus 2. Plus 3x times x is 3x squared. And 3x times a minus 4 is going to be a minus 12. Combine like terms. I see my couple x squareds here. Remember to circle the sign in front because that tells you what to do. So we have 2x squared plus the 3x squared, which is the 5x squared. And then we have a minus 2 and a minus 12. And that's going to give us a minus 14. Oh, I messed up. So because this is 3x times that minus 4, it's going to have an x at the end here. So we can't combine these. Whoopsie. So we got a negative 12x and then a minus 2, which gives us choice 4 to be the answer. All right. Next one. The value of x that satisfy the equation 4/3 equals x plus 10 over 15. Alright, so there's a few ways that you can do this. You can actually take each one of these choices and try plugging it in and see which one's going to work out. Or you can cross multiply and then solve for x. And that's the way I'm going to do it. So we have 3 times that x plus 10. So that's going to look like 3 times that whole quantity of x plus 10 equals 4 times 15. 4 times 15 is 60. We're going to distribute. So we have 3x plus 30 equals 60. Subtract 30 on both sides. Those cancel. 3x equals 30. Divide by 3. And x equals 10. Now, if you would have taken 10 and just plugged it in to begin with, you would have 4/3 equals 10 plus 10, which is 20. And 20 over 15 reduces to 4/3. So 4/3 would have equaled 4/3. So a few ways to do that one. I like this way because you don't have to guess going through and waste a bunch of time. You could just use the algebra. Hence the algebra exam. Okay, moving on. Number 8. Oops, skip the page here. Sticking together. There we go. Number 5. Josh graphed the function f of x equals negative 3 times x minus 1 squared plus 2. He then graphed the function g of x equals negative 3 times x minus 1 squared minus 5 on the same coordinate plane. The vertex of g of x is. So I'm going to take some time to show you what's going on here. Okay, if you notice on each equation, each function I should say, this part here is basically the same. Well, it is the same going after the equal sign, okay? So the only thing that's different is this plus 2 and the minus 5. So what does that mean? If you're starting here, okay, it means from f of x, it means you're going to end up going to negative 5, which means you're going down. So you're going to go down to 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, and that's going to be 7 units below. Okay, so that's why for number 5 it's going to be choice 1. But if you want to see it graphically, you can do this even if you don't know what each part of that function means. So if you take your calculator, go to y equals, and plug in each equation. So we have negative 3 x minus 1 squared plus 2. Then the other one is going to be, again, negative 3 x minus 1 squared minus 5. And you go to a graph. So the first one, f of x, is going to be in blue. There it is there. And the second one's going to be in red. Just there it is. So if you look, between the blue and the red is going down 7 spots. So that's another way you can do this right in your graphing calculator without knowing what it actually means when you change that constant at the very end of the equation. Okay, moving on. Number 6, a survey was given to 12th grade students of West High School to determine the location of the senior class trip. The results are shown in the table below. To the nearest percent, what percent of boys chose Niagara Falls? So the percent of boys choosing Niagara Falls here. So we have 56 boys, and we're looking for percent of boys here. So we're going to go ahead and take our calculator, and we have the total amount of boys, which is going to be 56 plus 74 plus 103. And you get 233 boys here. So it's going to be 56 divide 233, which is going to give you choice 2 at 24%. When you look at it in the calculator, it's 0.2403, blah, 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 but we're rounding. So 0.24 is actually 24% when you put it into a percent. So again, it's just going to be what you want over the total number of boys. If you took the whole total, obviously that wouldn't be correct because they're not including the girls. They want what percent of boys, okay? Okay, number 7. Which type of function is shown below in the graph below? Okay, is this a straight line? No, so we know it's not linear. Absolute values we know are v's. So now we're at square roots or exponentials. The answer is exponentials. Exponentials have this swooping motion, where a square root is going to more look like this. Okay, if you have a graph, square root will look as it's increasing just a little bit as it goes. Okay? Alright, moving on. Number 8. The expression 16x squared minus 81 is equivalent to. This is a perfect quadratic. So we're going to go ahead and use the rule of knowing that because it's got the minus sign, it's going to be a plus and a minus in between. And then take the square root of each. Square root of 16 is 4. So we have a 4x. Square root of 81 is 9. Okay, you could have the minus here. So if you look at the answer here for number 8, it's going to be choice 3. So what if you didn't know that? If you didn't know this, you could go through each one and use FOIL. So say we had, let's just go ahead and take the right answer as an exercise of FOIL. FOIL means the firsts, so that's 16x squared. The outers, 4x times 9, which is 36x. Now the inners, so that's going to be a negative 36x. And then the lasts, which is going to be a minus 81. And you notice these two will cancel each other out. So that's where you get the 16x squared minus 81, which gives you back to what you have. Okay? Two ways to do it. First way that I showed you, or this way. Alright, number 9. The owner of a landscaping business wants to know how much time on average his workers spend mowing one lawn, which is the most appropriate rate for which to calculate an answer to his equation. So number 9 is going to be choice 4. How many hours per lawn are your workers taking? That is going to be the most appropriate. Okay, lawns per day, he doesn't care because he wants to know how much his workers are spending mowing a lawn. So that's going to be your hours per lawn. Okay. Number 10. A ball is thrown into the air from the top of a building. The height h of t of the ball above the ground t seconds after it's thrown can be modeled by negative 16t squared plus 64t plus 80. How many seconds after being thrown will the ball hit the ground? So on this one, your constant always represents basically your height. So he's 80 feet above the ground at 0 seconds. And we want to find out when that ball is going to hit the ground. So we're going to plug this right in our graphing calculator. Okay, go to y equals, anything's in there, clear it out from that last one. Type in negative 16, we're going to use x for t, so x squared, plus 64x, plus 80. Then we're going to hit second graph to get our xy chart. So see at 0 seconds, he's 80 feet above the ground. You want to find where he is at 0, or the ball's at 0. And it's going to be after 5 seconds, because when x is 5, y is 0. So that is going to be 5 seconds. The expression, which equation is equivalent to y equals x squared plus 24x minus 18? Again, this is something where you can use FOIL and take a look, or you could use solve that by perfect squares. But I think for right now, we'll just use FOIL as a good exercise. And the answer here is going to be choice 1. Let's see why. If we take the x plus 12 squared, so this whole quantity is being multiplied by itself. So we have x plus 12 times x plus 12. That's going to give us x squared plus 12x plus 12x plus 144. So we can go ahead and combine those two. So we have x squared plus 24x plus the 144. And we cannot forget about the minus 162 there. So when you combine these two, you're going to be left with x squared plus 24x minus 18, which gets us back to the original problem. Okay, choice 1. Moving on, number 12. When x times x minus 5 times 2x plus 3 is expressed as a polynomial in standard form, which statement about the resulting polynomial is true? Okay, so we have the leading constant term is 2, the leading coefficient is 2, the degree is 2, the number of terms is 2. Well, the only way to really figure that out, guys, is to go ahead and do the multiplication. Again, FOIL exercises, okay? We could first distribute this x So we're going to have x squared minus 5x times the 2x plus 3. So now we got to do FOIL. We have 2x to the third this time. And then we're going to have a positive 3x squared. We're going to have a minus 10x squared. And then we're going to have a negative 15x. Combine the two middle terms. We have 2x to the third, a minus 7x squared, and a minus 15x. So if you look, the answer is choice 2. The leading coefficient is 2. Remember, this is the leading because it has the highest power. So when you write it in standard form, remember the powers have to go in order from highest first. So we get to the third, to the second, to the 1. So the leading coefficient, coefficient is a fancy term for the number directly attached to the variable. So it is 2. Okay, moving on. The population of a city can be modeled by P of t equals 3,810 times 1.0005 to the 7t, where P of t is the population after t years. Which function is approximately equivalent to P to the t? Okay, the answer here is going to be choice 2. And the reason is you can take this 7 right here and directly apply it to what's in the parentheses, which is the 1.0005. So 1.005 to the 7th power is going to give you the 1.0035, and you can put that right in your calculator and just go ahead and put this part in parentheses to the 7th power, and that's what you should get if you type it in correctly. And why don't we just make sure that 1.0005 to the 7th, and when you look at it, 1.005 to the 7th is your 1.0035. Okay, and don't forget it says approximately, so we are allowed to round. (14) The function f of x and g and graph are graphed in the set of x's below. For which value of x is the f of x not equal to the g of x? So if you look at this one here, right where they intersect are going to be our solutions where they're equal to each other. And the x value here, we're at -2. Over here, this x value is at -1. Over here, this x value is going to be at a +2. So the only one that it's not showing here is choice 3, where it's 3. 15. What is the range of the box plot shown below? Okay, remember range is the biggest minus the smallest value. So the biggest value here is 8. The smallest value is 1. 8 minus 1 is 7. Choice 1. 16. Which expression is not equivalent to 2x squared plus 10x plus 12? Well, guys, again, you could FOIL it. Okay, FOIL each one or multiply each one to find out. So we're going to say it's going to be choice 3. I'm just going to show you why it's choice 3, which one is not equivalent. So we're going to take the 2x plus 3 times x plus 4. So you can see where FOIL comes in a lot on these exams. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 4 is an 8x. 3 times x is a positive 3x. 3 times 4 is a positive 12. Combine like terms. 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. Obviously, this is not the same as that, so that's why it is choice 3. (17) The quadratic functions r and x and q of x are given below. which function has the smallest minimum value? So the smallest minimum value for r of x is right here at -16. And when I look at this looks like a quadratic as it is symmetrical. So we got the -15s that are surrounding the -16. Then you got the -12s. That shows me symmetry. So it's probably going to be a palabra. We know we get palabras from quadratic equations. So when we plug this one in and get a table, so let's go ahead and plug q of x in into our y equals. So we have x squared plus 2x minus 8. Second graph. Now our table, we want to look for symmetry. So our symmetry here is starting at -1 where you have a -9. So let's just write it down. -1, -9. Here's our table. Their x's and q of x, right? Let's go ahead and do it like they did it. So the next one is at -2, -8. And this one would be at 0, -8. So this right here would be our minimum. So which one has the smallest minimum? -16 is definitely smaller than -9. So the answer is r of x, and the value is at -16. Okay, 18. Says a child is playing outside. The graph below shows the child's distance in d of t. So here's the distance. The child is from home in yards from home over a period of time t in seconds. Which interval represents the child constantly moving closer to home? So closer to home means he's going to be getting closer to this line. Constantly moving closer to home is going to be between 0 and 2, because if you look at the yards and distance, you're going from 10 to 4. Then the child runs, but then goes a little bit closer, then goes away from home, and then is just kind of standing there over those seconds. So it is going to be choice 1. Constantly moving closer to home is between 0 and 2. 19. If a of 1 equals 6 and a of n equals 3 plus 2 times a of n minus 1 to the squared, then a2 equals. Alright, so this 2 is telling me to substitute the 2 in for n. Okay, so if we take our original equation here and we go a to the 2 equals 3 times, or 3 plus 2 times a, then remember n is going to be 2, so 2 minus 1 is 1, so a to the 1 squared. It tells us a to the 1 equals 6, so I could substitute the 6 in there. So a2 is going to be 3 plus 2 times 6 squared. 6 squared is 36. Okay, moving on. 2 times 36 is 72. 3 plus 72 is 75. So our answer is choice 1. These are a little tricky because you got to realize that you do have the n value and are also giving you the a1 value. But in order to find out first, you always got to substitute the n value in. Got to find out what the equation is going to look like. Number 20. Says the length of a rectangular patio is 7 feet more than its width w. The area of the patio can be expressed by the function. Alright, so we have a rectangular patio. Let's draw that out. Here's my little rectangle. It says it's 7 feet more than the width. So if this is my width, remember width is shorter than the length, and this is going to be 7 feet more than the width, which means w plus 7. The area of the rectangle is length times the width, so it's going to be w times w plus 7, which is going to give me w squared plus 7w, which is choice 2. Okay, a few more in part 1. Remember, part 1 goes up to 24. There are 2 points each. We always want to aim at trying to get the most that we can. Let's go ahead and look at this other one here. 21. It says a dolphin jumps out of the water and then back into the water. His jump could be graphed on a set of axes where x represents the time and y represents the distance above or below sea level. It says the domain for the graph is best represented using. So let's just take a look. Here's my graph. It says x represents time. Remember, this is your x-axis. This is your time. And we could say this is 0, which is sea level. 1, 2. This could be feet or inches above the sea level. So this is our distance. All right. So when he jumps, so let's just say he's right here on sea level swimming. He jumps, splashes in the water, goes back in. So that's going to be positive real numbers. Choice number 4. 22. Which system of linear equations has the same solution as the one shown below? So first, we got to solve it. These ones are a pain. I think these are definitely easier as choice 2, 3, or 4. But we are getting closer to the end of part 1, so they're going to throw a little bit harder ones in. So if we take a look, we have x minus 4y equals negative 10. X plus y equals 5. Alright, if we want to eliminate one of these, remember you have to have an opposite sign and the same coefficient in front. So I could actually try to eliminate the x by negating all the signs here. So this could be a negative x minus y and then a minus 5. So the x's are canceled. You're left with a minus 5y equals negative 15. Divide by a negative 5. So y equals 3. Substitute back into an original equation. So this is probably the easier one here. So we could have x plus 3 equals 5. Subtract 3 on both sides. X equals 2. Okay, so now which one of these is going to give us those same results? And the answer is going to be choice 1. We could see y, or we could actually, in this case, take each one of these and make sure it works. Meaning, if I plug in x over here, 5 times 2 is 10. That is true. It checks out. Then we could plug in the 2 and the 3 over here. So 2 plus 3 does equal 5. It does not work for the other ones. Like choice 2, if you plug in 3 for y over here, negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. It's not negative 5. So we know it's not choice 2. And you could do the same examples for these over here. So this one is choice 1. 23 says which interval represents the range of the function? Okay, so range, remember, is your y's. Remember, you have domain and ranges. These are your x's, these are your y's, and how do you remember that? D comes before R in the alphabet, x comes before y in the alphabet. So let's, I'm stuck there. Take a look at this equation or function. So we have 2x squared minus 2x minus 4, second graph. And if you look, we are symmetrical between 0, where 0 and 1 is at negative 4, so then it starts increasing. Okay, we got the zeros on the 8s on each side. So this is probably going to go to close to like 4.5. And if you look at your choices, that's where we are at 4.5, right? So it's going to touch 4.5, and then it's going to go to positive infinity. And that could prove it by If you just scroll up, it keeps going up and up. And it doesn't matter if you go the other way. Okay, so when you look at the graph of this, the lowest point is at 4.5, and then it just swoops up to forever. And that's where the positive infinity comes in. So you're going to be at negative 4.5 to positive infinity. So that is choice 4. Okay, last one. Says the common ratio of a geometric sequence whose first term is 5 and third term is 245 is. So we have a first, second, we got a bunch of terms here, okay? And they tell us that the third is 245. This one is 5. So what number can we continue to multiply by to get to 245? So if you look at choice 1 here at 7, 3 times 7 is 35. And then a times 7 again does give us 245. So it is choice 1. If you use any of the other ones, it's going to be way too big. As a matter of fact, if you use 49, 5 times 49 will give you 245 right away, and that's just the second term. And it told us it's the third term. So that's why it is choice 7. So that is part 1. I am going to stop the video here, and then I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the multiple choice questions, just to break it up.